Here we go. Let's get all the chats pulled up for this, I guess, special occasion. Somebody thought it was special. So we've got the 100 behind us in fancy balloons. Thank you to whoever may have done that. It was a surprise when it showed up to my door. But yeah, you can't tell, but it's about 8 feet tall. Kind of impressive. Funniest part is this woman, she's dropping them off. And she said, like, oh, we tried to deliver something to you, but nobody was there. I was like, I didn't know. Like, I wasn't expecting anything. Normally, if somebody delivers something, they just leave it at the door. Yeah, like, if somebody was delivering something, I would have assumed it would have just been left at the door, and then that's how it normally goes. But then I get a call and it says, like, hey, we tried to drop something off, but nobody was home. I was like, yeah, I was home. I just didn't expect anyone. So I go to the door. This is there. And she, like, runs back down the hall and she goes, happy birthday. And I'm looking at 100. I'm like, do I look that old to you? I'm not 100. I'm sorry, woman. I'm just a silly 25-year-old with 100 episodes of this mayhem. Which, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. She wished me a happy 100th birthday. You know, if I look that old, well, we've got bigger problems. We've got bigger problems than what's going on today. But yeah, we'll hop right into it. Just thought that was a funny story, funny occurrence that happened. It's my 100th birthday, I guess. So everybody wish me a happy birthday. I'm still not cashing out on that Social Security, which, you know, at 100 years old, you'd think I would have earned by now. Yeah, thank you. It's my 100th. It's my 100th birthday. I don't feel that old. I guess I look like it. I kind of wonder, like, when she was delivering that, did she expect somebody that was like 100 years old to be in here? Like, comes to the door. It's like in a wheelchair, just dropping off your 100th birthday balloons. Yeah, I don't know. It was funny. It was funny. Interesting for sure. But yeah, here we go. Today is Thursday, April 30th, 2026. This is episode number 100 of Addressing the Issues. Happy 100 episodes to everyone. May the festivities begin, I guess. So we've got some bad signs for the economy coming out today in recent days. It's been determined that the U.S. debt, which sits currently at 38 something trillion dollars, if I'm not mistaken. Publicly held debt 31 trillion. Well, no, that's not even right. Well, no, that is right. Okay, yeah. 31 trillion. 31.2 trillion. Apparently, publicly held debt is more than the GDP of our country right now. Meaning, we couldn't pay off our debt if we tried. This might be the tipping point. Great news for episode 100. That our debt is more than we can make in a year. I don't know if we'll ever fix this. I don't know if it's fixable at this point. You know, everybody talks about how GDP is a indicator for economic progress. Do they factor in debt into that? Because I'm not seeing much economic progress if the rate is 100.2%. It's 100.2% of the GDP is the debt right now. Absolutely staggering numbers. Then alongside this comes the report that the inflation rate hit 3.5% last month, meaning not only are we severely in debt that we can't pay off, but our dollar is being devalued at 3.5% annually. I'm not an economist, but this looks like a recession indicator if I was one. I don't think it takes an economist to determine that. I remember 2 years ago, almost like it was yesterday, we were going to have a economic revitalization of this country. That seems to have just fallen apart. And it sucks, because I was hopeful. I was really hopeful, hoping for more jobs, better jobs, cutting down the debt. I was hopeful, and all that seems to have been thrown out the window for this expeditionary war in Iran, which we'll get into later. There's some interesting developments on that. I guess contributing to this fun economic situation we're in, oil is at a wartime high today. It's sitting at $126 a barrel. Should be somewhere between 60 and 80. It's $126 a barrel. A national average for gasoline is $4.30. This is the worst since 2022. And it doesn't seem to be showing any signs of slowing down. I wish I had better news for the Big 100. But nothing's going to plan these days, it seems. The economic revival is dead. We're paying way too much with a devalued currency in a country that has no means of ever getting itself out of its debt hole at this point. So what does this mean? I don't know. I'm not certain. But my best guess is a recession. And I think this summer is going to be... It's not going to be the white boy summer we hope everyone will be. It'll be a poor boy summer for a lot of us. There's talks of the likelihood of a huge drought this summer, affecting food supply in the U.S., not even abroad. A drought in the U.S. when we can't even get fertilizer to grow anything as is. The bread lines are going to be long this year. I don't know if it'll be this year. I don't know if there's going to be bread lines. But things are pointing that way. This is pointing to a economic catastrophe as opposed to this economic miracle we were promised 2 years ago. I mean, it sucks. It sucks. Unpayable debt, inflation, it's just getting worse. And now gas costs way too much. For over $4 a gallon. We produce the most in the world, and we can't keep our own gas prices below $4. I don't know. Money short food short. There's not much good news in that front. Yeah, I don't think it takes an economist to see where this is going, what the writing is on the wall. Is there anything else I want to talk about related to this? Do I want to talk about this at all? No. But does it need to be told how it is? Probably. We should probably know that stuff's going to get bad. I mean, it's going to be bad. We need some type of miracle. Hopefully a lot of rain. Not too much though. No more floods. No more floods. But yeah, we'll move on. Like I said, I'm not an economist, but this is stuff that the public should be aware of. Because I don't know who else is going to talk about this. It won't be your Fox News. Fox News isn't going to tell you how bad things are actually looking. You know, MSNBC might, but you don't want to hear it from them. So just hear it from me. This Iran war was a huge mistake, and we'll be paying for it for a long time, if not forever. Speaking of this Iran war, we'll just hop into this part. So apparently Trump was advised today on new options for military action in Iran. Not what you want to hear. After this advising session from, I believe it was the commander of Central Command, Central Command has asked to move Dark Eagle hypersonic missiles into the Iran war theater. It looks like we're going to do it again. It looks like we may go all in this time. It's like we don't understand the concept of this sunk cost fallacy, which is Iran, and we're going to continue to step into this quagmire. You don't position $30 million missiles in the danger zone unless you're going to use them, because those are going to be target number one as soon as they get there. So I don't know. It looks like he's been briefed on how to do this. Once again, there's talks about short and powerful strikes on the regime's infrastructure to bring them back to the negotiating table. I don't think we're ever going to reach an agreement. I think this was one big, huge mistake. We had a open Strait of Hormuz. Now it's closed. Now it's blockaded. Now it's apparently open. I mean, nobody knows what's going on. We can't find an agreement on anything. So what is the solution? Well, more strikes on their infrastructure to, I guess, piss them off more. Reopening kinetic warfare with Iran. I guess that's the strategy. I don't see how it's going to be any more effective than it was last time. We're on try number 3 of this. It also sounds like a shock and awe style campaign where they're going to try and rattle Iran like they did in the opening days of Iraq, which it didn't work last time. I don't have any reason to believe it's going to work any better this time, unfortunately. Now, why do I say that? Because Iran is a much harder country to invade, to conquer than Iraq. What do they call it? The Persian fortress. There's never been anybody to successfully invade Persia, and we're going to try and be the first. Apparently, that option's also on the table. Troops on the ground in the Strait of Hormuz. This, I guess, large-scale quick bombing of infrastructure and a shock and awe style campaign. And we just don't understand that the more we put in, the more we lose. I don't think this is a winnable fight. I get we are supposedly, I believe so, the best military in the world, yet I don't think this is how we need to be. Displaying that. I also think a lot of this is some sort of setup for a future war with China. Going back to Venezuela, a ally of China, was actually had Chinese people there doing business deals for the CCP when we took Maduro. Then we're going to do Iran. However effective that is, completely different question. And then Cuba, another stronghold of China. And then from there, I guess we've strategically positioned ourselves for a head-to-head war with China. This is what it looks like to me, the untrained eye. That's where I think all this is going. I think the flaw in this, the fatal flaw, is that China's watching. They're watching what we're doing from satellite every day live. They're watching, they're learning, and they're going to know exactly how the fight against us, what our weak spots are by the time they want to do the Taiwan thing. And I think it'll be more than Taiwan. I don't know what all it'll be. Could include Japan. Could include South Korea. It could include, even Hawaii. We all remember Pearl Harbor. We know that was the Japanese. But it could happen again. It could happen again. But I think this is all setting the stage for this war with China. Getting Chinese influence out of our hemisphere, off our shores, with Cuba further away than Venezuela, and then weakening their ally in Iran. I think that's where all this heads, is to conflict with China. But that's just me. That's my untrained opinion. I'm not a war strategist, but everything points in that direction. All these countries have one common link, which is a relationship with China. And China is probably the nearest adversary in the world militarily to the U.S. at this point, with their capabilities, missiles, drones, artificial intelligence, surveillance. It all points that direction. It's not Russia anymore, it's China. I've talked about that in the past a while back, but it all seems to be pointing that direction these days. So what the goal is right now is to overthrow Iran and hopefully install a less friendly government for China. How well does the US think that's actually going to work is an entirely different question. I guess they think it's going to work. Is it going to? I don't see a world in which it does. Then there's also more developments in this rapidly evolving global combat scape. There's reports today that Putin is directly overseeing nuclear weapons development in Russia. New capabilities. Well, they've had nukes, but creating more effective ones is what this seems to be. Enhancing missiles, kind of like the Minuteman III overhaul in the U.S. Putin seems to be doing that in Russia currently. Likely larger weapons as well, higher payload, larger output. That's what Putin is doing. The U.S. has had a lot of shallow earthquakes reported near Area 51 in a non-seismically active area. Lots of shallow earthquakes, just miles under the surface. Geologic scientists think they seem a little unnatural. I say that it could be underground testing. So it looks like China is not the only one doing this. I think in all likelihood we're doing the same underground, because you can kind of hide it there. It still causes an earthquake. I'm assuming that Russia probably believes that's what this is as well. I bet China has the same assumption. So it looks like we're on a new era of this nuclear arms race, with Putin actually warning that a nuclear apocalypse is a real possibility, which isn't, something you take lightly with somebody with the, I believe, the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons in the world. I believe, at least with recent numbers that we know, Russia was slightly ahead of the U.S., and that's after the nuclear arms treaty completely expired a couple months ago, and we're not even looking at ways to come to an agreement on that. It's just kind of, it expired. We'll let it happen, I guess. And then you have the Ayatollah Mujtaba Khomeini, who says Iran won't give up its nuclear capabilities. Remember that big red line the U.S. had? It says, we're not going to allow you to have nuclear weapons, nuclear materials. It seems that that's probably out the door too at this point. So where does all this go? I think it all points back to China in the long run. But right now, we are on an interesting timeline regarding nuclear weapons. I think it's just long enough that everybody's kind of forgot about Nagasaki and Hiroshima and how terrible that was. Yes, terrible. Evil bombing civilian populations like that, particularly with the nuclear weapon, but that's my opinion. Some people say it had to be done. I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. I don't think it needs to be done again, though. Maybe that's a hot take. Do we need to do it again? Just so my generation will see, oh my goodness, that was terrible? I don't know. I don't think we do. I think we can still look back at the images of that and agree that was terrible. I don't think we need to see it today in 4K from satellite images. I just don't think we need to watch it go off on people's Ring doorbells, iPhones. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it. Nobody else does. Nobody needs to experience that ever again. My opinion. Could be a hot take. But if we never get the war with China, we'll know why. It's because of nuclear weapons. Fun stuff. Not really. But we'll move on. There's some interesting developments in the policy scape. More fraud has been uncovered. We'll go with that first. So, Senator Joni Ernst has unearthed that Benghazi was used as a code word for Planned Parenthood to receive over $90 million in COVID-era loans. Loans that Planned Parenthood was not eligible for because they do not treat COVID. Benghazi, what a word. I guess Benghazi is known to get around security precautions Thanks, Hillary Clinton. But yeah, using Benghazi as this code word so that they can get illegal loans during COVID. Planned Parenthood shouldn't be getting any money whatsoever. It should be illegal. We should turn them into genocide remembrance facilities. The genocide of unborn children in this country, which is what it is. It's a mass killing of someone based upon their characteristics, which is, these are children. They're babies. So it objectively is a genocide in America, what Planned Parenthood is doing. And they're taking your tax dollars marked for COVID loans to continue to do this, which is completely disturbing. We need to, like I said, turn all those places into museums so we become more conscionable about what is happening with abortion. Because Planned Parenthood is, I mean, pretty much by definition a genocide of children. And, you know, lots of people fight for that. Probably the same people that, I don't know. Lots of evil people. We'll just leave it at that. Lots of evil people that promote Planned Parenthood. Yeah. 90 million of your dollars, code word Benghazi, to kill babies. I'd expect nothing less from my government. I'd expect nothing less. But we'll move on to some of the other, I guess, developments. So, I guess as everybody knows, the King and Queen of the UK have been in the US recent days. But in what I would consider a great development for US industry, tariffs and restrictions on whiskey are being removed between the UK and the US. These are the whiskey industry in Scotland and the bourbon industry in Kentucky. I guess you can also make whiskey in Kentucky, but bourbon is what they are known for. But this is removing tariffs, mostly focused on the barrels which are used, imported from Scotland to the U.S. to store and age bourbon, which is great for business. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, they were talking, I think less than a year ago now, how bad bourbon was struggling. Reduced sales, less demand. Well, hopefully this will help those people out a little bit because they employ tons of people in Kentucky. I've walked around my share of, what are they called, rick houses? Is that the right term? Let's look it up. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I took a class in one of those actually while I was in undergrad. Pretty cool place. Pretty cool to have class at a bourbon facility. Learned a lot about production. But yeah, I can only imagine that this is going to be really helpful for them in being able to not only stay in business but employ these people and reduce costs on Americans. So I think all around probably a good idea. Not all industries need to have the tariffs removed. I'm talking about steel, but probably with bourbon barrels, I think we can make an exemption. not too many exemptions on the tariffs. We need them back if we want any chance of getting out of this recession that we are staring into. And I don't know that helping the bourbon industry is going to do it single-handedly, but it's a start. And we thank you, President Trump, for potentially keeping a lot of people employed in America, which is absolutely necessary these days. So we'll move on from that. The Farm Bill, which we talked about yesterday, passed the House. Now it's going to the Senate. But they stripped the special provisions for pesticide makers from the bill, which is a huge victory for the American people, for the public, for the MAHA movement, as it's called. I guess you guys did a great job yesterday in calling your representative and telling them take out the exemptions for pesticide makers. Don't let them use glyphosate in, I guess, food production. Never was a good idea to start with. Like, would you go eat Roundup out of your garage? Probably not. But that's my opinion on that. Maybe some people, it's like my strange addiction. And people like walk into their garage and they like fill up like a shot glass with Roundup and then like drink it and like run inside. And it's like, honey, were you drinking Roundup again? And they're like twitching out. And it's like, no. I wasn't doing it. They're hiding drinking Roundup like an alcoholic. Finding all kinds of inventive ways to drink Roundup without your family knowing. Maybe people do that. I doubt it, though, because they'd probably at least have cancer. Probably die. But it would be an incredible episode of My Strange Addiction. Let's see, what else went with the Farm Bill? There was the banning of foreign adversaries from purchasing American farmland. Probably never should have been allowed in the first place. Many of us know, if not, I'll make you aware, China was buying up farmland surrounding many military installations here in the U.S., particularly the one where the B-2 bombers, B-2 bombers took off for Operation Midnight Hammer, one of the U.S.'s most advanced aircraft. They were buying the farmland surrounding this Air Force base, and there was nothing being done about it. Well, now we at least are attempting to do something. We're banning the purchase. Now we need to reclaim what land that they have bought. We do not need the Chinese snooping around our military facilities, looking through the outside, probably taking lots of pictures of these rather special aircraft that the U.S. has made, spent a lot of money on so that they can produce their cheap Chinese knockoff without doing any of the research and development, which is a common issue with China. But I think the next step is getting them out, invalidating these purchases, seizing it back with eminent domain, and then reselling it to American farmers. We don't need the Chinese sitting outside of air bases calling China saying, hey, they just took off again, especially when this is our near adversary. We don't need it. There's also apparently terrorist organizations that have been doing the same thing, which might even be more alarming because terrorist organizations generally have no real morals. And they don't have, the same command structure as the ever lovely Chinese Communist Party. I think it'd be much more likely we would have like a rogue attack by terrorists than the Chinese. I think the Chinese will just be sitting there spying, tipping off China to everything that's going on. The terrorists may actually go in there and try and eliminate people, which neither one of them needs to be around any military facilities. We need to tell them no, and seize their land and give it back to Americans that will actually farm it and actually try to help America, as opposed to, or at least hopefully they will have good intentions for America with this farmland, not poisoning us, but I would trust them a lot more, a American, to grow my food than some dude stationed outside of an Air Force base taking pictures of top secret planes to grow my food. Because, I mean, we've seen what they've tried to do with the, what was that, ergot spores, where they tried to smuggle in a whole bunch of bioengineered funguses to devastate U.S. crop production. I think we all remember that. That was less than a year ago that happened. Those people actually recently got charged, but we don't need any of that happening. We need Americans growing food for Americans. That should be the next step. And then on top of all this with the Farm Bill, they made a provision which would allow SNAP recipients to purchase rotisserie chicken on SNAP benefits. That was for some reason banned. You could not buy a hot rotisserie chicken. You could only buy cold ones, which probably sucks. I've always had the hot ones. I'd imagine they're probably a lot better than getting a cold one and then having to reheat it up at home. But now SNAP recipients can buy hot rotisserie chickens, which, I mean, the goal of this wasn't to starve people. It wasn't to make everybody's lives worse. It was, in fact, to make them better by stopping the purchasing of sugary snacks, sugary drinks. Rotisserie chicken, a hot one, does not fit the bill for that. So I think this is a step in the right direction, because anybody can use them, and there's so many uses. Like, I remember my mom we'd have rotisserie chicken one night, we'd have pasta the next, and then everything left on the chicken after that was used in chicken salad. And that's, I mean, what are they? Probably $8 now. Probably more around here. You know, they had some days they were on special. You can get them for cheaper. But not a bad thing to allow people to have, especially going through a hard time, because you can make one rotisserie chicken into a number of different meals and leave, I mean, literally no waste but the carcass at the end. So probably a good provision to add to this farm bill, because the goal never was to starve people by limiting SNAP benefits. The goal was to stop them from eating fattening foods and being unhealthy while receiving money from the American taxpayer. Because, I mean, I don't know. Looking at some of those videos, it was like, you are morbidly obese and you show no signs of stopping, and the reason you are on SNAP is because you are considered disabled for being morbidly obese. It was just like this circle of, like, my brain can't handle it. Like, maybe mix in a rotisserie chicken instead of hot pink cupcakes out of a box. Like, probably a good start. But yeah, the Farm Bill went through, seems mostly all right now. Got rid of the pesticide maker provision, banned foreign adversaries from purchasing American farmland, And you can even get hot rotisserie chicken with your SNAP benefits now. So I see no problems with any of those. There's probably something buried deep in there that nobody's found yet, not even the people that signed it in the law, but I guess we'll have to talk about that when me or somebody else finds it, because it's a long bill. These farm bills are incredibly long, incredibly complicated. And there was also the House, which voted, I believe it was yesterday, for the 3-year extension of Section 702 of FISA, allowing Americans to be spied on once again. People are like, what if we can't, or what is it? What were they saying? What if we don't continue FISA? Like, all the bad that could happen. It's like, the bad that could happen is that you wouldn't be able to spy on Americans without warrants. I don't see how that's bad. I have trouble understanding how you can come to the assumption that that is like some national security crisis in which you can't spy on Americans without warrants. But apparently this is a, national security risk for Congress. I think this is a way to line the pockets of Palantir and the like, but I guess it gives some people jobs to look around an Americans' phones, take their phone records. Maybe it's employing a ton of people. It's like USAID. We can't get rid of it because it employs a lot of people to do things counterintuitive to what America should be. But yeah, I see no positives in this extension of FISA as it is. I mean, it's unchecked abuse of power by the federal government, but what can one expect these days? What should one expect other than that? It's like, what was it? Somebody talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a woman in the House of Representatives. And she goes, national security never comes in and tells us we have too much power, we need you to take some of it away. That rings truer and truer every year, every time that they do stuff like this. FISA, Patriot Act, I mean, the list goes on. Those are the two main ones. But there's plenty of bills that are just antithetical to the American dream, what America should be, what America was envisioned on. Freedom 250, and we've got warrantless spying on Americans. Happy 250th birthday, Founding Fathers. You'd never believe what this place became. We're almost as bad as China. We really are. Hot rotisserie chicken, this is how Congress spends their time. Isn't there a bureaucrat that could have just written a regulation? Anything but election integrity in this country. We'll never get anything to help American citizens. Of course not. But we'd rather, argue about rotisserie chicken. I mean, I don't know. I think there's probably nothing wrong with allowing them to have rotisserie chicken. It's healthy in a sense. It could be worse. I mean, we could still be letting them eat artificially sugared cupcakes all day and not let them have rotisserie chicken. I think this is probably the better option. But I get what you're saying, that Yes, they are arguing on this stuff on the floor, but we argue stupider stuff every single day in the halls of Congress, and nobody ever says anything. I mean, these are the highlights. These are the highlights of what they're getting done. The highlight is that they successfully allowed hot rotisserie chicken. Can you imagine what they're doing normally? Well, it's normally impeaching people and writing letters of condemnation to American citizens. It's like, we disavow this American. And then they spend all day reading some meanly worded letter to an American citizen. It's like, okay. What did you get done? Well, we wrote a harshly worded letter berating an American citizen for using their First Amendment rights. We did so much today. We tried to impeach Trump again. This is what we did today. It's a hopeless institution. It's hopeless. Like I said, get out in the primaries. Every single one of them. Everyone must go. It's like a what is it? What are those called? Closeout sales. Everything must go. We're having a Congress closeout sale, but everyone must go. Get out in your primary. Figure out the day. Make sure you're registered to vote beforehand. Because that is something you have to do in a lot of states, is be registered. Normally like a month in advance. But show up to your primary. And let them work in the real world. The real world that they have created for you. Let your congressperson enjoy it. Because I guarantee they won't. When they get out of their sheltered, cushy DC lifestyles and back into the real world where unemployment's at like, what? An incredible percentage right now. No, youth unemployment was like somewhere between 5 and 10. Let's see. Where are we at? National rate 4.3% unemployment. Let them go out and battle the economy on their own, and they'll see where they went wrong. Hopefully. Maybe they're just too dumb to understand it. But yeah. Everyone must go in the primaries. Pick somebody new. Just anybody. It can't be worse. Maybe it could be. Do a little bit of research, but it's got to be. There's got to be better options than what we're seeing. But we'll move on. You have Senator Rand Paul today. He has proposed a constitutional amendment to end birthright citizenship, which is probably wise, especially the way it is being abused by foreign nations, foreign adversaries. We're back to China again. He will send pregnant couples to the U.S. to have the kid where they will receive American citizenship, take them back to China, educate them in the Communist Party, and then send them back to the U.S. for whatever nefarious purposes the Chinese Communist Party has brainwashed them for, which is exactly what the Founding Fathers intended with birthright citizenship. Believe it or not, that's a fact. And there's also the people who come from third world countries, illegally have a kid here, and then expect not to be deported anymore because their kid is technically a citizen on this magic dirt that we live on. The magic dirt outside that, allows you to be an American. There's no magic dirt, guys. If there was, I'd expect a lot more from it. I would expect a lot more from this magic dirt. I'd expect it to have some moisture in it, at least, and allow the crops to grow, but the dirt isn't that magical, I guess. It only just magically lets people become American citizens when they're born here, which is some weak magic in my opinion. Yeah, we've got to end birthright citizenship. It is completely abused by everyone in the world, and Who ends up paying for it? Well, American taxpayers, American citizens, the ones that have been here since the beginning, for 250 years and before that. We're the ones who get to pay for the repercussions of birthright citizenship. It's a country of immigrants, not illegal immigrants and people that are pregnant on vacation. But yeah, that's basically what's been going on today. Lots of kind of a slow day once again. Not much good news these days. We'll get into the good news here in a minute. Let's see. But yeah, happy 100 episodes, everyone. I really appreciate you guys that have been with me from the beginning, joined along on the way. There's more and more of you every single day. And I will keep working to grow this channel and hopefully inform American citizens, highly educated, low intelligence. We all go to college, but some of us kind of can't prove it with our decision making, which is unfortunate. Not talking about you guys. You guys are at the Sam Jones re-education camp right now. It's a good time. Everybody enjoys their re-education. Centers for Medicaid and Medicare have deferred another $91 million of federal funding to Minnesota after they find more fraud. Who would have guessed? That's going to take out of my winery profits, probably. I actually use fraud to fund my winery and send the profits to Somalia. Oh wait, that's not me. It's somebody else. But I've also lived through World War XI, which was terrible. Terrible World War XI was. Lots of bad things happened. Yeah, I guess that's everything for today. There's some just stuff that like people put out as news that just doesn't matter. It's like YouTube influencer says vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. It's like, dude, nobody cares. Nobody cares what I say even. But they should. At my re-education camp. But yeah, thank you guys for sticking around for 100 episodes. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you're doing me a favor. Dropping a like on the stream, on YouTube, on Rumble. Can't like on Kick. I don't think they'll ever change that. That's just the way it is over there. Yeah, make sure you're following on YouTube and Rumble. No, following on Rumble and Kick. Subscribing on YouTube. If you'd like to support me, help me out for my 100th episode. There's always the option to subscribe on Rumble. It's $5. You can do it monthly or by the month or a continuous subscription. Helps me out financially in this terrible economy and keeps this show going. I appreciate all of my subscribers there. Particularly MSJ, longtime subscriber. Since the beginning, really appreciate that. So thank you. You helped get me to 100 episodes. It's you guys. If nobody showed up, I'd probably quit doing this, but I get more and more people, and it makes me think at least someone cares about this country still. I can't be the only one. Like, I can't be the only person that still cares about this country, and you guys proved that. You guys proved that by showing up, hanging out, supporting the show. Like I say, the most important thing is your attendance at the Sam Jones Re-Education Camp. at Radio Free Boomer. It really helps in the algorithm, helps me push the stream out to new people. Maybe one day we'll get on the front page, and we'll get the well-deserved blow up that this channel deserves. So we work hard. We work hard for this stuff. At least we think we do. We as in me. But yeah, we'll hop into the good news. I keep pushing back. I always think, like, maybe I should explain why people should listen to me. I always think, like, maybe I should tell people, like, the experiences I've had in school and stuff. It's like why I am actually qualified to be doing this. Then I'm always like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Just a lot of just strange stuff. A lot of strange stuff. Hanging out with the censorship industrial complex that wants to ruin your life, take away your freedoms. That's all they wanted to do in grad school, is limit your freedom, which I found appalling. But now, maybe we'll save that for a different date. Maybe if somebody asks for it, we'll do it then. But we are looking today at Philippians chapter 4, verse 10. It's about giving thanks, which today's theme is thankfulness. Thankful to have done 100 episodes. Hopefully we'll get to do 100 more. If you guys let me. If the algorithm lets me. But yeah, today is a day of thankfulness, so we'll look at Philippians chapter 4, verse 10. It says, I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you have renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you have been concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through him who gives me strength. I just think that's a good message. I didn't do this. God gave me this opportunity to not just share with you the news, help you seek the truth like we talked about yesterday, but also just giving me this opportunity to share his gospel on every episode to more people that I could probably do it with in public. And these are here, forever. You can just go to the end of any of, the last 30 or so episodes, 20 or so episodes, and just get a taste of what God has given us. The good word, the sacrifices he's made so that we can be with him in heaven. But it's always good to give thanks. I didn't do this myself. The Lord gave me this opportunity, so I appreciate him not only for this, but for everything in my life. When I have food to eat, waking up to a new day, there's just so much to be thankful for, and it's important to remember that it's all God. I couldn't have done this myself. I can do everything through him who gives me strength. Verse 13 there. I mean, it's the truth. I couldn't have done this just all on my own. I needed God's help. I asked him for advice on how to do this, steer me in the right direction, to not lead people astray. And I think he listens, and I think he helps point me in that direction. That's why I'm sometimes I go, maybe I don't want to do the good news segment anymore, and then I realize that that's what this is all about. It's, at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to matter is if you've accepted Jesus Christ into your life. It's if you've lived for him, lived through him, and you'll get what you need. It's not always everything you want. To quote the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just may find that you get what you need. And I think there's like a woo after that. But no, I'm thankful every day the Lord has put me in this position that I can talk with you guys about the news, and then afterwards I can give you the good news, and hopefully point some people in the right direction, because like I say, time and time again, all that's going to matter at the end is if you've accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. It doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor, you're great at sports, your team wins a championship, your country falls apart in a recession. It won't matter. What matters is your relationship with Christ. It matters more so than anything else. And that I'm just thankful that I'm able to share this with you guys. Thankful to God. It wasn't me. God put me in this position. He's allowed me to do this. If he didn't, I mean, maybe there never would have been a channel. We definitely wouldn't have hit 100 episodes, that's for sure. So, all glory be to God that we've made it here, and by his grace and mercy, we'll have 100 more episodes. Maybe even 100 more after that. But no, there's never a bad time to say thank you for everything the Lord has done for you. Just like today, thank the Lord for allowing me to have all 100 of these episodes, him allowing me to bring you all together every weekday. That's his grace, that's his lovingness that's allowed that. It's nothing I did on earth. That's his will. And I've just got to thank him for it. Thank him for the situation I've been in. And I hope you all listen to this and will thank God for everything he's done for you as well, whether that be putting a roof over your head, a good job, even just the food you eat. Be thankful to God, because it's his will that's happened to you. It's no earthly work, it's the Lord's work, and he does it every single day for all of us. So like I said, give thanks every day to him, because it's his will. Even 100 episodes. Woo! So yeah, happy 100. Shout out to these balloons. They say 100. They're also 8 feet tall. And I think this camera goes up to about maybe 5 feet. So, sorry about that. I couldn't fit them all in. We got the congrats. Maybe, hold on, let's see. I grabbed them all and pulled them down. Can you guys see them all? See, look, 100. Woo! We did it. We did it. Not just us, not just me, but you guys and the Lord. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for sticking around the day, for liking the episode, following, Kick, Rumble, subscribing on YouTube. Those of you that subscribe on Rumble, I'm really appreciative of as well. Most importantly, you guys that come here every day. Help me out with the algorithm. I'm thankful for you and thankful that the Lord has given me this opportunity. I don't know if I'm going to be on tomorrow. I may take a day off and try and get some editing done. Maybe. It just kind of depends on the news cycle tomorrow. But I may be here at 4:45, maybe a little bit late. Maybe editing instead if it's a slow news day. We may be attacking Iran again tomorrow, which would make it a rather not slow news day. So we'll see. We're going to play tomorrow by ear. But I have some stuff I want to get done going into the future of the show. Hopefully that'll make it at least somewhat of a better experience. But yeah, that's where we are for tomorrow. So maybe I'll see you again at 4:45 tomorrow. Maybe we'll be back Monday. I don't just depend on if anything's going on. If it's a slow news day, I'm just going to grind some editing and hopefully improve the quality of this show. So hope that doesn't offend anyone. Friday's kind of dead anyways. Everybody's focused on the weekend already. It's like I can wait until Monday. But that's where we're at for tomorrow. But yeah. Maybe we're here, maybe we're not. It's a toss-up. It's 50-50. Which together equals 100. Happy 100 days, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again for episode 101.